and I'll give them one of these. So just hopefully people can see, there's no way I can have control over the cards when I'm like dropping them on a table like this. All right, Mo, are you satisfied? That's what matters here. Are you satisfied that these cards are mixed up and there's no way we can know the order? I'll mix it up one last time just so we can't know what that bottom card is there. And then are you satisfied with that?
Absolutely.
Give it a cut. All right. So I'll take that deck and I will leave it in here. Now I'm going to leave it on the table now, so there's no way that I can do sleight of hand or nothing like that, okay? Mo, I want you to name any card and any number that you want.
10 of clubs.
Okay, and any number.
10.
10. All right, watch. I'm going to do this very fairly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll place right there as fair as can be. So as long as through all that shuffling, there's no 10 of clubs anywhere here, then how crazy would that be, Mo? If your intuition led us to any number, any card, and it was the 10 of clubs.
Yo, get out, man. What did you do this time?
Nothing, bro. That was all you. That was insane, bro. I don't know how you did it. Your intuition must be bomb.
What the hell? Yo, that's...
What is good, guys? It is Reed, and welcome back to another video. Now today, I got an awesome tutorial for you guys. I have the tutorial for that amazing ACAAN that I posted a little while ago. That was an awesome any card, any number, and I'm going to teach you guys exactly how I did it. Now first we have to have a little bit of a conversation, and you see me sat here with my computer and all of that, and there's an important reason for that. Here's the thing, right? We all obsess over any card, any number, right? As magicians, we're always obsessed with methods, different methods, and there's a lot of amazing methods out there. Now, I want to stress, and part of the reason I'm making this video is to stress that it doesn't matter how it's done. What matters is the effect on the spectator, okay? And that is the message here that I hope you guys can take home. You know, the cleanest any card, any number you can do is often very difficult, you know, maybe Aussie wins or something of the sort. It presents the exact same effect to your spectator that a much easier any card, any number would, a much more practical one, right? Even if you look at my ACAAN that I put out, it's extremely practical, very versatile, but there's still moves that are unnecessary, right? The only reason I chose to put those moves is so it could be a little bit cleaner, but really that's from the eyes of a magician. You know, from a spectator, you can almost stack their card exactly where the number they say after they said it, and as long as you do a few false shuffles, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, you could literally just have them peek a card that's a force card, and they will believe that they just thought of it with the right frame, right? So you could do a thought of card at any number just by forcing a card that they just peek, shuffle into the deck, have them shuffle even, and then show them all the cards are different, call the card, ask them to name a number, and literally start shuffling off cards, and just whatever number they say, you just shuffle off that many cards, throw it on top, give it a couple more false shuffles, and you have an amazing thought of any card, any number, and it's so easy. The problem is, as magicians, we discount some of those methods because we think that it matters to be clean, or it matters to the spectator for it to be super, super clean, but it really doesn't, guys. Effect is all that matters, and you can take really simple things, and spectators aren't familiar with a deck of cards, and so you can make the effect incredible. And I think any card, any number is the perfect illustration of that, right, guys? Like, we have so many methods, and everyone has their own method, and none is really better than the other. Like, if you look at the Holy Grail rules, the Burglass effect, which, I mean, people think it's real, it's just a stooge, guys. It's just another method, you know what I mean? Like, there's a million different methods, and is a stooge any better than not having a stooge? If you think about it, no, not really. right? It's the same thing. A lot of us might feel weird about using a stooge, but think about how clean that then becomes for your audience. It can be all hands off, all that sort of thing. And even if the stooge is in on it and the magic isn't impressive for them, I mean, that wasn't the point of the trick ever. And so at the end of the day, the any card, any number, it's about the effect. Now, before I get into this tutorial, I want to explain the inspiration behind this any card, any number and this method that I came up with. It was actually Sean Devine was one of the people who inspired this. I remember he put an any card, any number out with his wife not too long ago, and people were going crazy. It was incredible. You know, I remember I had an idea how I thought he did it, and I asked him, and he said, no, that's not how he did it. And I was like, okay, well, I have no idea. He fooled me. And then I ended up taking that method that I guessed, and I'm like, oh, that could actually be a good method. And I came up with an any card, any number using that method that I've shown you guys in the video. I think I called it the perfect any card, any number. It was just a performance clip, and you guys all kind of loved that video as well, and we're trying to figure out the method, and some of you were very close, and so, you know what I mean? I get it. I get the intrigue behind guessing any card, any number, and then the method and why we all love it. Now, with Sean's, he ended up putting out a video explaining how he did it, and he said that his wife was in on it. She was a stooge. Now, it wasn't the classic stooge. They didn't have the deck set up, and she just named the card that was at the number they already knew. She was in on the marked deck. She knew the deck was marked, so she just read what the marking was and then named that card. And I thought that was a very cool way to use a stooge. Now, this is not stooged, okay? This is 100% real, not stooged at all. But I feel like the stooging and the method that I used tie in very closely for a couple of reasons, and I'll explain it in a second. But Sean's idea, you know, I have never used stooges before, and I felt, I kind of felt weird about it, as many people do. And I don't need a stooge, so I probably won't ever use a stooge. But for the context that, and I know Sean doesn't either, but the context that he used it was very unique. He did an any card, any number, and it wasn't just so, like, it wasn't the burglass effect. It wasn't so perfect that you knew it had to be a stooge. He actually left like nuggets where people had leeway to guess, was it a marked deck, were you using a second deal, things like that. So it actually took away from people thinking that he was using a stooge, which was brilliant. Now, I don't know if he did that on purpose, but that's what it did. It worked for me, right? I didn't think it was a stooge because of the things he used. So, but if you think about it like this, is it cheating? Does it matter that he used a stooge? Absolutely not. It's just another method. And it's a method that worked. It fooled me, and I didn't see anyone really guess a stooge in the comments, and there were a lot of guesses. So he successfully pulled off what he's supposed to do as a magician, and he fooled all of us magicians, right? So this kind of got me thinking, what are some other areas of things that might be a little bit taboo in magic? Might be things that some people look down upon, and how could we use that to fool magicians, okay? How could I use these techniques to get around what magicians think and fool them with it? And then I came up with this method. It was actually inspired by something by the other ACAAN that I've done on the channel too, gave me some inspiration. And I spent a lot of time thinking about how to iron this idea out. And eventually, you know, we got to where we are now, and we got this amazing any card, any number. So I say that to say that the techniques that Sean used, which some people might look down upon or would even call cheating, call using a stooge cheating. But like I said, the burglass effect uses a stooge, and lots of other effects use a stooge. It's just another method. And so some people, I wouldn't be surprised if they call this method cheating, but it's just another method. So before I dive into the tutorial, I want to show you the performance of this one last time. And don't skip it if you've already seen it, because there's something very different about the performance you're about to see. Alright? Once you see that, I will explain to you and give you guys the full tutorial of how to do this, any card, any number.
Here's what we're going to try. I'm going to try to show you the power of your own intuition. Okay?
All right.
Now, in order for us to have a baseline of what is impressive using intuition, we need to see how difficult something would be or how it would happen if we just did it randomly without using intuition. So the first time I'm going to ask you for a card and a number between 1 and 52, any card and any number you want.
Okay.
And I want you to name them when I ask you, not yet, but when I ask you, I want you to name them just randomly, whatever first comes to mind. Don't put too much thought into it, okay? Also, just for the sake of like the trick, if you cannot name a number that's like 2 or like 50, just to either, so it won't be too short or too long, you know, just for the sake of like the viewers and stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you know, whatever you want. You could name those numbers, but it would be, you know, it would just be more entertaining that way. Anything else before we get into it? No, I don't think so. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
So I can name name any card type of thing?
Any card and any number between 1 and 52 when I ask you in a sec. The first time, make it kind of random, like just make it random, the first ones that come to mind. And then the second time, we'll use your intuition and I'll explain what you got to do when we get there, okay?
All right.
All right, good to go?
Good to go.
So Mo, thank you for joining me. I'm going to show you a classic of magic, or maybe the holy grail of magic would be a better term. This is called an any card at any number. It's a very simple trick, but it's like the masterful sort of amazing trick of all. Like all magicians try to get this perfect. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to lower the camera so you can see the deck of cards in my hands, so I can't cheat, obviously. Now, first things first, I want to show you that these cards are all different. All right. Yep. And it's important that these cards you believe are genuinely shuffled, so they're not in any order. There's no way I could know anything about them. So I'm going to start. I'll just do my regular shuffles, but as you know, I'm good at sleight of hand. So you might be thinking there's something fishy going on here. So I'm going to do whatever you want me to do to shuffle the cards. So do you have any ideas, or do you want me to give you some suggestions? I'll do whatever you want.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
All right, how about, just so the viewers know this is totally random, how about you just name some like small numbers between 1 and 10, and I'll like throw that number of cards on the table. So it's totally like random, right? Just so they know.
Yeah.
So it kind of simulates if you were here, you could be shuffling these. What do you want?
Let's throw 5 down.
5, okay. And keep going.
3.
3.
4.
4.
6.
3, 3, 6.
2.
2.
10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can mix these up a bit. Okay. Maybe tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Right there. And we'll do this, and I'll give them one of these. So just hopefully people can see, there's no way I can have control over the cards when I'm like dropping them on a table like this. All right, Mo, are you satisfied? That's what matters here. Are you satisfied that these cards are mixed up and there's no way we can know the order? I'll mix it up one last time just so we can't know what that bottom card is there. And then are you satisfied with that?
Absolutely.
Cut. All right. So I'll take that deck and I will leave it in here. Now I'm going to leave it on the table now, so there's no way that I can do sleight of hand or nothing like that, okay? Mo, I want you to name any card and any number that you want.
10 of clubs.
Okay, and any number.
10.
10. All right, watch. I'm going to do this very fairly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, I had 2 there. But as we saw, number 10 is the 3 of hearts, right? So that was the example that I wanted to show you, that doing this randomly, it's very impossible. You have to get the number right, you have to get the card right. And I know there was a lot of tension there and you were kind of not sure if it was going to work, but I just wanted to show you, and we didn't get it here. Let's see how close you were here. So 10 of spades, can you see those? Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, this might be pretty close. Oh, damn, it was at 15. So you're like 5 cards off. So that was really good. So we'll take those, we'll mix those again. We're going to do this a second time, the exact same thing. I'll give those a mix. So I want you to just see, same sort of thing here. I'll do whatever you want me to do, and just let me know when you're satisfied. I'll hold them up nice and close to the camera so you can see the cards interlace and be shuffled. Give them a couple of cuts here. Are you satisfied, or you want me to shuffle more, give them a wash, anything you want?
Let's do one more cut.
One more cut. All right, just do one of these. Good?
We're good.
All right, perfect. So, Mo, this time, I'm gonna leave the deck right on the table again, right in view.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is we're gonna use your intuition, okay?
Right.
Now, I want you to understand that intuition and randomness are actually closely interconnected. Now, the reason I say that is because, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna keep shuffling these while we talk, just to make it more random for the viewers. But intuition and randomness are very, very intertwined, okay? And the reason is because our subconscious is what makes those random decisions, right? We don't really think about it, but also our subconscious is what fuels intuition. So actually they're very closely tied together. So I say that to say that there's a good chance in my experience that the randomness that you name or anything random that you do is also fairly close to your intuition. In our last case, obviously it wasn't right, but we were close. You saw it was at 15.
Yeah.
Right. So my point is the next time we do this, just keep that in mind. You were probably close. So it's probably going to be close to what you said, but you know, you can name any number you want. So we're looking for that 10 of clubs, right? It was?
Yep.
Okay. So I want you to start thinking, is that card in the 10s, 20s, 30s? What do you think? Start to get a feeling.
I think it's in the high teens.
High teens. Okay. And do you have any idea what number? It could be a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which number?
I'm feeling 19.
19, you think, eh? All right. So that deck completely shuffled. You said any card, you said any number. Let's see how good your intuition is. Sorry, I'm gonna do this again. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and the 19th card I'll place right there as fair as can be. So as long as through all that shuffling, there's no 10 of clubs anywhere here, then how crazy would that be, Mo? If your intuition led us to any number, any card, and it was the 10 of clubs.
Yo, get out, man. What did you do this time?
Nothing, bro. That was all you. That was insane, bro. I don't know how you did it. Your intuition must be bomb.
What the hell? Yo, that's... Man, I was going to say 18 too.
You could have said 18, bro, but something in you knew. You must have good intuition. That's why you're such a good salesman.
I appreciate it. Oh man, that's a good trick.
So that was the performance, and hopefully now you have an understanding of how this effect works. So this effect, the method, was a combination of dual reality and some video editing. Now, I know what you guys are thinking, video editing and magic. And if you think about it, there are genres of magic that are specific to video editing. I think it's Zach King who does a lot of the video editing stuff. But the difference there is we all know that that's video editing, right? We know that he's doing magic with video editing, which is great, you know, and a lot of people see that as okay because we know what it is. When you get to a trick that is like this, where it could be sleight of hand or like card magic, and we use video editing, I think people start to think that might be cheating, or maybe people don't, but that's what I would think that I've heard that before, right? But here's the thing, guys. It's just another method. I utilized people's thinking that using video editing to pull off an effect like this is not good and no magician would do it. I used that to fool you, right? I used your assumptions to fool you, which is things as magicians we do all the time. And now I didn't go and use Photoshop and, you know, I'm holding a deck of cards and it just changes into a ball, something that obviously would have to be video editing. I used very sneaky, very covert video editing that took a lot of thought. 90% of the trick has nothing to do with video editing, but there's one moment that I edited to make the whole trick work and make sense, and that's what I'm going to explain to you guys in the tutorial. It's also a very carefully planned scripting, right? A very carefully planned dual reality scripting so that it's not stooged. He totally enjoyed and had an awesome time witnessing the effect he witnessed. Once I took it into the editing booth, that's when the magic started to happen with how I spliced the clip together. Now I knew when I did this, I couldn't just splice the clip together and make an obvious cut. And there were a lot of other issues like sound, the visuals, the deck changing size when I'm dealing, the position of the cards changing. Because I did 2 separate any card, any numbers, the cards had to be in the exact same spot. There's so many little things that I had to think about. So to me, there's just as much creativity and ingenuity that went into this effect as any other effect. There was so many things I had to think about to make this work. And again, it's just another method, okay? It's no different than any other method. I just use something brand new that a lot of people don't use for this, and that's why it looks so good, and that's why it fooled so many of you. You know what I mean? It's just another method. I never claimed that it didn't use video editing or any of that sort of thing. That's when we get into the territory of it being wrong, right? Now, besides the dual reality and the careful scripting and the careful planning and everything, the cut is very important. I only used 1 cut, and that's why I say it's such a small percentage of this effect. The cut had to be very covert. Now you're about to see how deep this trick really is, because like I said, the cut could not, under any circumstance, be obvious. If it was obvious, then it's obviously video editing. So I had to figure out a way to covertly cut something that involves another person and myself, and I can't have them just stay still the whole time, obviously, because that would be weird. I can't be perfectly in the same place. So I came up with the idea of making it seem like the video, there was a bit of lag in the video, and I think that's truly genius. Think about this, I had to do it virtually, it has to be over Zoom. All of these things that factored in, I had to make sure the lighting was right so that it wouldn't be too clearly obvious. I had to make sure the deck was in the perfect spot, the size of the deck was in a similar amount, and I'll explain how I did all of these things, but the point is, so much thought went into this. You know, just the thought of like, okay, I have to do this over Zoom. I want to have the two of us beside each other so that we're zoomed out a little bit more. So I'm not huge, so it's even a little bit more difficult for you guys to catch anything fishy just because the frame's a little bit smaller when you're watching it back, right? All these little things that I actually thought about to go into this effect. They're other subtleties, right? They're subtleties in a completely different aspect of magic. And I think it's really, really neat, right? Being able to use these subtleties in not just with the cards, but with the camera angle and lens. And this kind of ties into my behind the screen series that I do. And if you watch those series, I mean, those are my favorite videos I've ever made. And they just showcase how much you can get away with and how much you can do with virtual magic, right? We're moving into the virtual magic era. So I really want to show you guys all the different things you can do by playing with the camera angle. And there's a whole new world of possibility when we have social media magic involved. I almost don't consider this video editing. All I did was make a cut, and I hid the cut by making it seem like the camera lagged. So all I did, I cut the video at the 2 points that I needed to and added tiny freeze frames on each edge. So the camera goes, freezes for a split second, goes again, freezes for another split second, so it kind of looks like a sort of a lag, right? And when you see that, it looks really, really awesome. So first things first, the intro that I give him off camera is very important. It sets up the dual reality, and you guys obviously didn't see this in the performance. I tell him that I'm gonna be showing him a demonstration of his intuition, but in order for him to know if his intuition works, he has to know what the baseline would be, what it would look like if you did it randomly without intuition, so that you have something to compare it to, which is a very logical statement. So I tell him we're gonna do this experiment once randomly, and the second time we'll do it with his intuition. So I tell him the first time, when I ask you to name any card at any number, just say them at random. Whatever card comes to mind, whatever number comes to mind at first, just say those, don't think about it too much, and we'll see how this looks if you do it randomly. Right, so I set this up. Now, he understands that this first time, it's probably not gonna work. But the reason I did this is so the first time I do this, it can look extremely clean because it's not gonna work. Right? So now I can do such a clean shuffle, totally genuine shuffle. He can genuinely name any card and any number, and I can do the dealing process, and it'll look amazing up until the point where it doesn't work. So now what I need to do is do it a second time and just make the ending look really clean. So now it doesn't matter what I do in the beginning. I can literally stack his card in exactly the position I need it, which is what I did. And as long as the ending of me dealing the last few cards and flipping his cards looks clean, I can splice those two clips together and it looks like an incredibly perfect any card, any number. But to set that up, so that's one reality. The other reality is his, where he thinks we're doing an experiment of a random test where it's likely not going to work because it's just luck, and then one using his intuition. So the first time he expects it not to work, the second time he does plan it to work. And I just told him not to name a really small or really high number, just literally to make the effect more interesting. I could have, but I thought it would be more interesting. And it also would look a little bit weird if there's a cut. You know, if he names 2 the first time and the second time names 20, then there'd be a very weird moment where there's like 2 cards and then it jumps to a bunch of cards and that becomes a lot more obvious. But I'm going to show you how you work around that discrepancy in a second here. So first things first, I cut out the beginning. I cut out the entire dual reality setup moment. And after I've explained the dual reality, you'll see how I make it feel like the trick's just starting. I say, "So Mo, thank you for joining me, da 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 da," and then I say, "I'm going to show you the holy grail of card magic." So now when you just watch this, it still feels like the trick is just starting. And that was carefully thought out. But to him, it still feels like I'm just explaining what's going to happen in the trick, right? Very important, when I lower the camera, I make sure my mouth is out of view, so now I can play with the audio in post-production, right? Because I am going to have to edit the audio, because as I'm dealing the cards, the numbers are not going to line up anymore when I make the cut. So I'm going to need to shift, like if say I dealt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could shift that so now it could be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you'd have no idea because my mouth, you can't see my mouth. That's a very important step. And from this point forward, I'm just doing a very clean, fair, 100% fair, any card, any number, totally shuffled, all different. Nothing special about the deck. He names any card, any number, right? It's just super clean. I just want it to be super clean. Now I go through this shuffling process, super clean, just to prove that the deck is totally shuffled, because I can't have him shuffle. I'll shuffle it since he's not in person. The next thing that's very important, when I place the deck down, I'm using the lines here that are built into this table. That was my guide. So I make sure I put the deck right in line with one of these lines, and then I square it up very carefully, right? Because I want to keep everything as square as possible so the discrepancy is less obvious when I make the cut, and I need the deck and the cards to remain in the same place. So I have my left hand just on the corner of the deck, and I in the testing, I realized if I place it there, it'll just make it a little bit more solid. The deck won't move as much, so it'll be, it'll stay together, which is good for the cut. And also, I felt like if I do that, it will give you guys something to pick at method-wise, so I was thinking that might be a bit of a red herring. Keep in mind, I'm filming this video before I've posted this. This is me actually editing it now, so I don't know how you guys are going to react. Maybe you'll all figure it out. Maybe you won't. Maybe it'll fool some of you. I hope it does, but we will see. So yeah, that hand is very important. And then when I'm placing the cards, I also lined up with another line so I could make sure I was placing the cards in the same spot and making sure I'm doing it very slow to keep them square. And you'll see as I go through it, I adjust the cards a few times. It's all just to keep everything square. So now you see it doesn't work, but he doesn't expect it to work. It's random. It's an example. Right? So this is the part where I'm going to cut. So now under the guise of telling him, let's see how close he was, I just cull his card to the top of the deck, and now I have control over it, right? What's happening here also is we have this really nice moment where he was actually very close. The 10 of clubs was at 15. And this is going to play really nicely later. Now I just do some shuffles, retaining his card on top. But there's a really nice moment because he was so satisfied with the first shuffle. The second time, even though I tell him I'll do whatever you want me to do, and I would have, but I would have just kept control of his card. He doesn't need me to shuffle more because he believes it so much from the first time. So you have this really nice moment of everything being so clean the first time around makes him not as suspicious the second time around, right? So he's confident that it's mixed and that I don't have control. So now is a very important moment. For the discrepancy issue, right, think about this. If he says 10 the first time and 40 the second time, then when I cut one, let's say I cut it at about 5. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I cut it to the second take. But it needs to be 10, right? Because he named 10 in the clean take. So now I have to go to the 35th card and splice it with the 5th card from the first one. So now you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Obviously I'll strip out the audio, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But the deck will go from this to this. So it wouldn't work. So I need him to name 2 numbers that are close together. So now I have this spiel about how our intuition is connected with randomness because they're both fueled by the subconscious. So I say in my experience, you know, you tend to be very close. And then I can tie it back because he actually was very close. And I could say, as you saw, you were very close last time. So it's very likely that this time around, it'll be very close to that original number you said. So now I get him in the mindset to say a card that is very close to the number he's already named. And we stick with the 10 of clubs because it's still an any card. Like, now I have control over it though. So all we're doing is manipulating the number, and I know he's gonna name a number now that is close, even though, you know, I say you could still name any number, but obviously he's gonna listen to what I have to say, right? I'm just casually false shuffling the cards here. Right here, I stack 9 cards to the top, putting his card at number 10, because I know it's gonna be around there. If it was 20, I would have done 9, and then I would have done 10, right? So I'm getting it already close to where I know he's gonna say. Now I break it up a bit and I say, do you feel like your card's in the 10s, 20s, or 30s? I don't even say 40s and 50s because I don't want him to name any of those. And I remember I've set him up to say somewhere around the number he already said, which was 10. So I'm assuming he's gonna say in the teens somewhere. Maybe the single digits, but probably the teens. So I've already stacked his card with that shuffle to number 10. Now that he says high teens, I can shuffle off 5 more cards and put it to 15. If he would have said the 20s, I would have shuffled off 10 cards and put it in the 20th position, getting ready for the final setup, right? So I can use this breaking up to get ahead, right? I can follow along very easily this way. So there I shuffle off 5 cards, so I'm holding 5 cards, but I know he's gonna say over 15 because he said high teens, so I'm gonna move those to the top. And then I have him focus on the second digit. And then I shuffle off the last 4 cards, throw them on top, and his card's at 19, just like that. And I place it back in the right spot, the same spot. And now we repeat, and it looks exactly the same as the last one, but it's gonna work this time. So I need to cut it at 14. So it's gotta jump from like 5 to 14. So I'll play around with that ratio, the jump from 5 cards to 14 cards, or maybe I'll bump it up to 7 and 16 or 17 or whatever it happens to be, but that's what I'm gonna play around with now and see what looks best. So now what I do is I'm gonna line it up. So here's the discrepancy, right? It's the card on the table. So it's the 3 of clubs and then it changes to the jack or the queen of clubs, whatever that is. So I need to just go to the moment where the queen becomes out of view, so that you can't tell what card it is. Maybe that right there. And then this is gonna go to the moment when you can not see the identity of that card, so just as you see me picking it up, right? Now what I do is I add a freeze frame right before and right after the moments, and I shorten those to ½ second each. What it's gonna do is it's gonna create the illusion of a bit of lag. Anyway, so I'm gonna play around with the timing of this and when I wanna put the freeze frames and if I should move them, so you feel like it's some lag. I also might do this in other spots, just add a small freeze frame just to make the lag, just to make it feel like the call is a little bit laggy, right? So it doesn't stand out. So I'm gonna try that too. Add a few little subtleties. Then I'm gonna take the audio from the other clip, take out the 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 and replace that with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we'll have the reveal. So I'll update you guys on how that goes in a second. All right guys, so I am back. I just finished up the edits for the clip that I'm gonna post that you guys have obviously already seen because this will be in the tutorial video. So I'm gonna cover a few of the last minute changes that I made, other things that I did. So this is what we got. I ended up splicing card number 5 on the first take with card number, I think it was like 16 on the second take because the first number he named was 10, the second number was 19. Then I cut the audio of 16, 17, 18, 19 and replaced it with 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? And I took the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 from the take that went up to 19 because it worked better with the audio and I just lined up everything. So that's what you can see. I'll hear me shifting the audio and pulling the audio out of the other files. And then I made this fake lag right here. So I basically cut it, and I cut it just at the moment where you can begin to see the face of whatever card is down there to the moment where that card is covering the next card. So you can't, there's no flash. Now if you look here, you can see a little bit that the packet gets bigger on the left. I think that's the most obvious. But unless you're pointing it out and in the video, I don't think anyone is going to really notice that. At least that's the hope. We will see if anyone catches that. It's very minute because I was able to keep his numbers pretty close together. So here's the freeze frame. So I just added a little freeze frame before and a little freeze frame after with a little bit of regular speed in between. And that gives you this nice sort of freeze, skip, freeze. So it looks like a lag, as you can see there. So I'll play it again. Right, so you get the first freeze right there, and then it plays and then freezes again really briefly. So it looks like a really nice leg. And these I just had to play with until it lined up with the other take. Because you can't see my mouth, it looks perfect. Then I had the idea of adding lag into the video in other places so it doesn't stand out this one moment. So I added, I think, 3 other spots of this fake lag, and I just cut a few frames out of the clip, added a freeze frame instead, and then shifted the audio over the freeze frame so the audio is continuing at the regular speed, right? So that's one. I put one right here. Just a little skip. Looks like some nice lag. And then this, I really like this one here. And the table wash. So those were just some extra little subtleties that I threw in. And other than that, it was pretty easy. As long as you get the cards to be lined up in the same spot, you can control them to say numbers that are pretty close together, then you don't have the visual discrepancy to deal with. And then it's just about playing with it in post. I added some background music, as I always do, but that kind of helps hide any audio discrepancies. Not that I think there was any in this video. And then from there, I mean, we have literally a miracle, any card, any number. So again, for watch back the full performance, you can see how I did it. But all I did was explain to him how it was going to be a test of intuition versus randomness. Then the first time I made it very clean, right? Once we got into it, I just said, Mo, I'm going to shuffle these however you want. I want you to name any card, any number, and then I actually did it super clean, and it didn't work because he knows it's going to be random, right? This is a dual reality. And then the second time, I had a spiel in between that I cut out so I can say whatever I want, right? At the beginning of the second phase. So I say, I want you to, I think your intuition and random tends to be intertwined because it's related to your subconscious, so you're probably close to what it was. So you can, I would recommend you name a number close to the one you did because you're probably very close. That'll cause them to name a number that's close, which will hide the visual discrepancy. Make sure you have some markers on the table so you can leave the deck and the pile of cards in the same spot. And then just go through and do the second, any card, any number. You just don't even ask them to name a new card. You just control the card to the top while you're showing them how close they were to getting the card the first time. Then you just keep it on top with a bunch of false shuffles. Then you do the nice thing where you say, I want you to get the sense, is it in the 10, 20s, or 30s, etc. And then they'll tell you that, so right away you can stack it into the 10th, 20th, or 30th position depending what they say. So in this case he said in the teens, so automatically I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards off the bottom. Right, so if their card is on top, 6 of spades, I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, throw those on top. Now his card's at number 10, right? He said he thinks it's in the teens, so now I'm at the 10s, and then he said high teens, so I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put his card to 15, and then I just took off 1, 2, waited. He said 19, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. His card is now at 19. You could even do one quick false shuffle at this point, and then you're good to go. And you put the cards in the same spot, you do the ACAAN, and then you have a really clean ending. So you take the clean beginning, the clean ending, splice them together, mix up the audio, add in the fake lag by just adding small freeze frames, right? Again, I'll show you the edits on that are very simple. It's just you cut it so that the last frame of the first part is just as I'm lifting up that card. Get to the last frame where you can't tell what this card is. So the second you can see what the card is, that's where you want to stop, because that's where the discrepancy is going to be. It's going to be in this card. And then the first frame of the last clip is just as the card that's face down, it gets out of view because the card would obviously change. So you need to make it just so this top card's blocking it, add small freeze frames, and it'll just look like I skipped from here to here, and it'll just look like there was a bit of lag. Try to do that near the beginning of the video so your audience tends to forget about the weird moments, so it feels really clean the whole way through, and you're golden. You have an amazing any card, any number. So that's it for this tutorial, guys. So this is what I'm gonna call LAGCAAN. Okay, I like that, LAGCAAN. It's a virtual any card, any number for social media that is incredibly clean, and it uses the power of video edits, a method that is not very well explored in Magic. And doing stuff like this, I think, can be super powerful. It falls into that category of stooges for me, where some people think it's kind of taboo, but I don't think it is. I think it's just another method, especially in our virtual social media Magic days. Use all the methods you can. Again, it's just another method. And I think this is something that's super unique, and you can see this is literally a perfect Burglass effect. You know, besides the fact that he's not shuffling or dealing, I mean, I totally proved that he could have by having the deck on the table, so I'm not doing any false deals, and you know, the shuffle sequence is obviously 100% fair. So it really is the perfect any card, any number. And I want this video to be a lesson. You know, open your mind to different methods and understand that the effect is what matters. For him, he still had an amazing effect, even though he had a completely different reality from the reality you guys experienced from watching this trick. I think this is something really, really neat, an any card, any number with a dual reality and using one camera cut. That's all it was. It was just a simple cut covered up by some leg. And then some really careful like placement and thinking in the real world. There's a lot of thought that went into the routining. So the routining is still like incredible piece of routining if you really think about all the subtleties that I've explained and the details to achieve this effect. So the camera cut is such a small aspect of this, but it's just kind of the cherry on top that makes it all come together. So the take home message, guys, is, you know, focus on the effect. Pick stuff that's practical and easy to do because your audience does not care. I have a lot of complicated tricks that are super fooling, but I could do them way easier and the audience doesn't care. And I think that's a huge benefit, especially when you start performing more. So that was kind of the message of this video. I wanted to have a little bit of fun, try something different, and see how I could push myself to come up with a brand new method for an any card, any number. And I think I came up with something that is super, super unique. So if you guys want to try this, watch back the full uncut performance and you can see the scripting and how it all worked. Listen to the subtleties and then take your try at it. If you happen to try this, let me know. I would love to see what your video comes to, because I think this is a super cool idea and something that we can explore a lot of other methods involving, you know, this camera cut and this fake leg almost. I think there's a lot of cool things that we can do with it. So with all that said, you know, this video, again, I'm filming it before I've posted the performance, so I'm very excited to see what your guys' guesses are, how you think I did this. I'm hoping no one will pick up on the actual method, which I think is good enough that they won't, but we will find out. You know, it's not a Photoshop edit. I didn't change the card to be the 10 of clubs in post, right? This is a genuine reaction. Everything's real. It was just a simple camera cut and a really unique routining. So I hope you guys liked that video, liked that tutorial, something very different for me and something very different for you guys, but I hope you get the message behind what I'm trying to say, really take it to heart, and enjoy this trick, enjoy this video, if nothing less, seeing a really cool method for an any card, any number. So anyways, guys, let me find my Jack of Hearts, but you know, as usual, welcome to the new subscribers. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.